Did you know that 60% of people say they stop watching a TV show or movie if the dialogue feels unrealistic or boring? That's right, 2 out of 3 viewers will check out if the characters' conversations don't grab their attention. It's a shocking statistic, but it's true. Great dialogue can make or break a story, yet most of us overlook how powerful it can be. Now, imagine you're watching your favorite show. The plot is amazing, the characters are interesting, but something's off. The conversations feel flat. The words don't land, and you start to lose interest. What went wrong? It's likely the dialogue. In this guide, we'll reveal 6 simple ways to fix your boring dialogue and make every conversation pop. From hidden techniques like using subtext to mastering the rhythm of your character's speech, we'll break down the strategies that can turn your writing from dull to dynamic. Ready to make your dialogue unforgettable? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Crack the code, the power of subtext. Subtext is the hidden meaning behind what's said. It's what makes your dialogue come to life. Imagine this: 2 characters sit across from each other. One says, "I'm fine," but their body language screams otherwise. That's subtext in action. It's what's left unsaid that speaks volumes. In great storytelling, characters rarely say exactly what they mean. Instead, they hint at their emotions, fears, and desires. Subtext creates tension, mystery, and depth. It's the reason why a simple "I'm fine" can be filled with so much drama. As the famous playwright Harold Pinter once said, "The speech is not the thing. It's what's underneath." According to a study by Dr. Albert Mehrabian, about 93% of communication is nonverbal. That means the words we speak are often less important than the tone and body language behind them. So, don't be afraid to let your characters not say what's on their minds. Instead, let their actions, silences, and subtle hints reveal their true feelings. One powerful way to use subtext is through contradiction. A character might say one thing but act in a way that suggests something entirely different. Take the movie, The Social Network, where Mark Zuckerberg insists he's not a people person, yet everything about him screams the opposite. The dialogue feels real because we can feel the tension between what he says and what he truly feels. To make your dialogue more intriguing, don't give everything away. Let the audience read between the lines. In the words of author Anton Chekhov, "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass." Chapter 2. Inject tension like a pro. The secret of conflict. Conflict is the engine of any great story. But it's not just about big, dramatic fights. The best dialogue thrives on the little moments of tension between characters. It's the underlying push and pull that keeps the conversation interesting. Think of any memorable movie scene. Chances are, there's some sort of conflict driving the dialogue. Take The Godfather, for example. In the famous scene where Michael Corleone says, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse," the tension comes not from the words themselves, but from the threat that lingers just beneath the surface. Conflict doesn't always have to be loud. It can be quiet, even unspoken. It can be a disagreement, a misunderstanding, or an internal battle. In The Great Gatsby, Nick Carraway's dialogue is full of subtextual conflict, reflecting his inner turmoil and the tension of the world around him. One way to inject tension is through contradictory goals. Every character should want something different, and that desire should create friction. Maybe one character wants approval, while another seeks independence. The clash between their desires will naturally create conflict, even in everyday exchanges. According to screenwriting expert Blake Snyder, conflict should be present in every scene, not just in the plot. It's what keeps the audience engaged. Even a seemingly mundane conversation between friends can feel tense if their desires don't align. Take 2 characters talking about where to eat. It seems simple, but it can reveal deeper issues like control or fear of conflict. Conflict doesn't need to be huge, but it should always be there. Keep your characters in a state of mild discomfort. It will push the dialogue forward, making every conversation more compelling. Chapter 3. Talk is cheap, but rhythm is everything. Rhythm is the heartbeat of dialogue. Think of it as the pacing of a song. When it's right, it feels natural, engaging, and easy to follow. But when it's off, it can feel awkward and forced. Great dialogue has a flow, just like a great conversation. The rhythm of dialogue can change depending on the tone you're aiming for. Fast-paced exchanges create excitement, while slower, more deliberate conversations can build tension. A study by neuroscientist John Cacioppo found that when people engage in conversation with others, their brain activity synchronizes. That means rhythm is not just a stylistic choice, it's a psychological one. In movies and TV, great dialogue often has a back-and-forth rhythm that mimics real life. In Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, characters engage in rapid-fire exchanges that are full of tension and humor. The rhythm makes the dialogue feel real and captivating. The trick is to know when to speed up or slow down the tempo. Quick back-and-forth dialogue can show urgency, while pauses can emphasize what's left unsaid. A well-timed silence can be as powerful as a spoken word. In his book, On Writing, Stephen King suggests that great dialogue has a rhythm that makes it sound natural. He encourages writers to avoid over-explaining and let the rhythm of the conversation take care of itself. Overloading dialogue with information can kill its pace. You can also play with repetition to establish rhythm. Repeating a key word or phrase can add emphasis and drive home an important point, while creating a rhythm that feels satisfying. Take a look at Aaron Sorkin's scripts. His fast-paced dialogue often repeats key ideas, adding rhythm and reinforcing the underlying message. Mastering the rhythm of dialogue means understanding when to pause, when to speed up, and when to let silence speak. Keep your audience on their toes with the unexpected ebb and flow of conversation. After all, dialogue should feel like a dance, not a lecture. Subscribe for more tips on writing great dialogue. If you're enjoying these tips, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to improve your storytelling and make your writing unforgettable. Chapter 4. Give your characters voice, making them sound real. One of the biggest mistakes in dialogue writing is making all your characters sound the same. Each character should have their own voice. This doesn't just mean a different accent or speech pattern, it's about the unique way of seeing the world and how they express it. Take any iconic character from literature or film. Whether it's Harry Potter, Tony Stark, or Sherlock Holmes, each has a distinct way of speaking. They're memorable because their voices match who they are. In the book The Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger uses Holden Caulfield's sarcastic, disaffected tone to showcase his teenage angst. Every line he speaks reveals something about his character. One way to develop a character's voice is by focusing on their background and personality. Where did they grow up? What's their social status? These factors influence how they speak. Someone raised in a small town will likely use different expressions than someone from a big city. A unique voice also reflects their mindset. For example, a character who is always in a hurry might speak in short, clipped sentences, while someone more laid back might use longer pauses and more relaxed phrases. As the writer Elmore Leonard once said, "If it sounds like writing, I rewrite it." The goal is to make the dialogue feel natural, not forced. And don't forget that actions speak as loudly as words. A character's voice isn't only in what they say but also in how they move, gesture, and react. The way a character handles silence can speak volumes about their personality. A great trick to find a character's voice is to give them a unique catchphrase or way of reacting to situations. Think of the way Tony Stark from Iron Man always has a quip ready, or how Yoda from Star Wars speaks in a distinct rhythm. These small details make them unforgettable. To make your characters' voices truly authentic, ask yourself this: would someone actually say this? It might be tempting to write eloquent or fancy dialogue, but if it doesn't match the character, it will fall flat. Great dialogue is as much about realism as it is about creativity. Chapter 5. Cut the fluff. Eliminate the filler words. Every great writer knows that less is more. Dialogue can get bogged down by unnecessary filler words that don't add meaning. Phrases like, you know, like, and, I mean, may be common in real life, but they can make your dialogue sound weak and unfocused. According to linguistics expert Dr. Deborah Tannen, filler words are a natural part of conversation. However, in storytelling, they can slow the pace and make characters seem less certain. Cutting out these words can make your dialogue sharper and more direct. Take this example: I'm just saying, you know, that maybe we should leave now, like, before it gets late. Now cut out the fillers. We should leave before it gets late. The second version is clear, concise, and carries more weight. Cutting the fluff also helps build tension. If characters say only what's necessary, every word feels more important. This approach keeps your audience on edge, wondering what will happen next. It's no surprise that many best-selling authors, like George Orwell and Ernest Hemingway, embraced minimalism in their writing. Orwell's famous rule was, if it is possible to cut a word out, always cut it out. When you focus on eliminating fluff, you also create room for meaningful dialogue. If every line feels purposeful, it keeps the momentum going and helps avoid dragging scenes. Readers and viewers stay more engaged because every conversation adds to the plot or character development. One trick is to read your dialogue aloud. If a line feels like it's dragging or repeating itself, chances are, it's filled with unnecessary words. Often, characters can say the same thing in a more concise way. Instead of, "I don't think that's such a good idea," honestly, just have them say, "That's not a good idea." While realism in dialogue is important, it's vital to remember that you're crafting a story. Real conversations are messy and filled with filler words. But in storytelling, every word should earn its place. Chapter 6. Master the art of dialogue, twists. To keep them guessing, the most exciting dialogue is the one that catches your audience off guard. When you throw in unexpected twists, your characters and their words take on a new meaning. Dialogue twists keep things fresh and unpredictable. In The Usual Suspects, the twist at the end changes everything we thought we knew about the characters. It's a perfect example of how surprising dialogue can create a new understanding of the entire story. The key to writing great twists is to mislead your audience without them realizing it. Build a sense of familiarity with your characters' speech patterns, then surprise them. You can create twists by having characters say things they wouldn't normally say. This often involves revealing hidden motives or unexpected emotions. For example, a character who's been quiet and reserved suddenly bursts out with a shocking confession. These moments change the dynamics of the conversation and add a layer of intrigue. Twists can also come from reframing a conversation. The movie The Sixth Sense is a masterclass in this. In one scene, Bruce Willis's character asks the boy, "What do you see?" At first, it seems like a simple question, but in light of the twist, we realize it was far more significant. A great dialogue twist doesn't always have to be dramatic. It can be as subtle as a character admitting they've been lying the whole time. Or it can be a moment where what was said in the past suddenly makes sense in a new light. In the book Gone Girl, Gillian Flynn expertly uses this technique to turn conversations into puzzles, making readers reevaluate everything they've been told. The key to a good twist is to set up the conversation so that it seems normal at first. Once the twist hits, everything feels different, but it also feels earned. If done right, it'll leave your audience rethinking every line of dialogue they've heard so far. A dialogue twist should never feel forced. It needs to grow organically out of the conversation, making the revelation feel like a natural progression. In his book Save the Cat, screenwriter Blake Snyder suggests that great twists are born out of conflict, surprise, and character depth. When these elements align, the twist will resonate with your audience and make your dialogue unforgettable. Thanks for reading. If you found these tips useful, don't forget to subscribe for more strategies to help you become the best storyteller you can be.